Welcome to The Explainer. You know that feeling that investing is some kind of exclusive club? Like you need a ton of money just to get your foot in the door? Well, we're here today to tell you that's just not true. We're going to break down how you can start building your wealth, even if you're starting small.
Okay, let's just tackle the elephant in the room right away. Do you actually need to be rich to invest? Is this whole thing just a playground for the wealthy?
The short answer? Absolutely not. No way. And in this explainer, we're going to show you exactly why and how you can get started. So let's dive right in.
All right, here's our game plan. We'll start by busting that big myth. Then we'll walk through some golden rules you gotta know. After that, we'll get into the fun stuff, stocks and real estate for everyone. And finally, we'll help you put together your first simple strategy.
All right, first up, let's officially put this myth to bed. Investing requires a lot of money. Seriously, the world of finance has changed so much, and those old walls that kept regular people out, they're pretty much gone.
So, when we say small budget, what are we actually talking about? Well, think of a starting point somewhere between, say, 100 and a couple thousand euros. That's kind of the perfect zone. It's enough to give you access to a bunch of different options and get some real experience, but not so much that you're risking your financial safety. It's all about learning without the stress.
Okay, now before you go and invest a single euro, we need to talk about building a solid foundation. This part is so important. These are just suggestions. They're what I'd call the golden rules for getting started on the right foot.
This is probably one of the most important distinctions to get right from the start. Think of it this way. Savings, that's your emergency fund. It's your safety net. It's the money you stash in a super safe, easy-to-access account for when life happens. The boiler breaks, the car needs a new tire. Investing, though, that's totally different. That's your wealth builder. That's where you put money to work, aiming for long-term growth. It comes with some risk for sure, but also the potential for much bigger rewards.
You've probably heard this famous line from Warren Buffett. Rule number 1, never lose money. Rule number 2, never forget rule number 1. It sounds a little extreme, right? But he doesn't literally mean you can't ever have an investment go down. What he's really getting at is the mindset. It's about being smart, being careful, and making the preservation of your capital, your starting money, your number one priority. Don't go chasing crazy high-risk gambles.
In this next quote from him really drives the point home. Risk comes from not knowing what you're doing. This is the core idea of what people call his circle of competence. It's actually a really simple concept. Stick to what you know. Only invest in companies or assets that you can actually understand and explain to someone else. The real danger, the real risk, comes when we wander outside of that circle into stuff we don't get.
Okay, so we've got the mindset down, we've got the rules. Now let's get into the practical stuff. We're going to start with the most common entry point for new investors, the stock market. And trust me, it's way more accessible than it sounds.
So what even is a stock? Simply put, it's a tiny slice of a company. When you buy a share, you literally own a piece of that business. You become a part owner. And the best part is, you don't need a ton of cash. You could buy a share in a huge company, like a Total Energies or a Société Générale, for way less than 100 euros. Think about that. You can own a piece of a massive global company for less than you'd spend on a night out.
Okay, now this next one, ETFs. This is a total game changer, especially for beginners. Instead of stressing about which one stock to pick, an ETF lets you buy a whole basket of them all at once. Imagine buying one thing that tracks the entire CAC 40 or the S&P 500. You get instant diversification, you're not putting all your eggs in one basket, and the fees are usually super low. It's an amazing tool. Okay, so you've got your stocks or your ETFs, but where do you actually put them? Well, for those of you in France, there's an amazing tool, a special type of account that is just incredibly powerful for this. Getting to know it is absolutely key if you want to get the most out of your investments.
It's called a PEA, Plan d'Épargne en Actions. The best way to think about it is like a tax-advantaged wrapper that you put your investments inside. And its superpower? It's incredible. If you hold your investments in it for at least 5 years, all the gains, all the profits you make are completely free from income tax. I'm going to say that again, tax-free. For long-term growth, that is a huge deal.
So if we look at a quick comparison here, yeah, an assurance vie is super flexible, and a regular compte titres lets you buy stocks from anywhere in the world. But honestly, for investing in European stocks over the long haul, that tax advantage makes the PEA pretty much untouchable. It's really in a class of its own.
All right, that covers the stock market. But what about the other big one, real estate? I know what you're thinking. You need a huge deposit, you got to get a mortgage, it's out of reach, right? Well, not anymore. Some really cool new ways to invest have totally opened up the property market. Let me introduce you to something called fractional real estate. The idea is brilliant and super simple. Instead of one person having to buy an entire apartment, a whole bunch of people can chip in and buy it together. You own a fraction of the property, and you get your share of the rent that comes in every month. And the best part? No dealing with tenants, no fixing leaky faucets. You get the benefits without the headaches.
And this fractional model is just one option. There are others, like SCPIs, which are kind of like a mutual fund but for a whole bunch of different properties. Or even real estate crowdfunding, where you're basically loaning money to a developer to build something new and you earn interest on your loan. The point is, there are now legitimate ways for anyone to get a piece of the property market.
And getting started is surprisingly easy. It's pretty much all done online. You just find a platform, create an account, look through the different properties they have on offer, and when you find one you like, you invest your amount. We're talking sometimes as little as €100 to get started. And that's it. After that, you just sit back and collect your share of the rental income. It really is that straightforward.
All right, so you get the basic rules. You've seen the tools you can use for both stocks and real estate. Now for the most important part, let's tie it all together. Let's talk about a simple but seriously effective strategy to actually get started.
It's a strategy called dollar cost averaging, or DCA for short. And here's the beauty of it. You stop trying to be a market wizard. You stop trying to guess the absolute perfect day to invest, which, let's be honest, is impossible. Instead, you just commit to investing a set amount of money at a regular interval. For example, you decide you're going to invest €100 on the first of every single month, no matter what.
And this is why it's so perfect for beginners. When the market is down, your fixed €100 buys more shares. When the market is up, it buys fewer shares. Over time, this averages out your purchase price. It completely removes the emotion and the guesswork from investing. Plus, it's a fantastic way to build a consistent habit with an amount of money that actually fits your budget.
And here's the kicker. You don't even have to remember to do it manually. Technology has made this so easy. There are things called robo-advisors or micro-investing apps that will do the whole thing for you. You just set it up once, like a direct debit, and it automatically invests your money for you every month. You literally set it and forget it.
So there you go. We've smashed that myth that investing is only for the rich. We've walked through the golden rules to keep you safe. We've looked at the actual tools you can use, from stocks to real estate, and we've given you a dead simple strategy to get the ball rolling. The path is there. It's clearer than ever. So the only question left to ask is, what's your first step going to be?